now that we've learned about the story of Jonathan and David from 1 Samuel chapters 18 through 20, I have a craft that you can do at home to tie in with today's lesson. I wanted to start by reading a quick section from 1 Samuel chapter 20. I'm starting at verse 35, and it will just kind of give you an idea of where we're headed with this activity. This is right before Jonathan meets up with David to tell him that Saul's going to keep trying to kill him and that he needs to go away in peace. It says, "In the morning, Jonathan went out to the field for his meeting with David. He had a small boy with him, and he said to the boy, 'Run and find the arrows I shoot.' As the boy ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. When the boy came to the place where Jonathan's arrow had fallen, Jonathan called out after him, 'Isn't the arrow beyond you?' Then he shouted, 'Hurry, go quickly, don't stop.' The boy picked up the arrow and returned to his master. Then Jonathan gave his weapons to the boy and said, 'Go carry them back into town.'" And again, then Jonathan meets up with David and tells him to go in peace. So at the end of this chapter, it just had me thinking about arrows and friendship. So here's where we're headed, and here's what you'll need. You'll need a cylinder kind of container of some sort. This was one that had breadcrumbs in it. You could also, I know we said we weren't going to use toilet paper, but you could use a toilet paper roll or paper towel roll. You also might be going through Clorox wipes like crazy around the house, so if you have an empty one of those, you can clean it out and then use that. Anything with that kind of tall cylinder shape will work just fine. You will also need some glue or tape, some colored markers, and maybe some scrap paper that you have around the house. So to start, what we're going to use this for is to make a quiver, like the arrows we're talking about. So I started with my container to make into my quiver. You can decorate it for step one by either drawing directly on there, or what I did was I took a piece of paper and used some things that I had around the house and decorated the piece of paper to then wrap around my quiver. So I found some stickers, just did some marker drawings. You could draw a picture of Jonathan and David. You could draw a picture of you and your best friend. But I also put on there 1 Samuel chapters 18 through 20 to remind me what this is connecting to. So I'm going to wrap it around my quiver and just with a piece of tape and stick it on there. So my quiver's done, and now we need our arrows. I just used, this was just a white piece of paper that my daughter had painted on. I thought it might look kind of cool, so I cut it into long strips. I used a black triangle for the tip of the arrow, and then I used different colors on the end for the feathers. If you have real feathers hanging around your house somewhere, that might be cool to put on there. I did not. So you'll need at least 4 arrows. I made 6, and then I'll show you what to do with those. We're going to take each of these red words from our big idea today of how we want to honor God by being good friends, and we're going to write each of those on one of the arrows. So I have true, loyal, selfless, and love or loving, whichever way you want to write it. And I'll put those in my quiver. Now with the 2 extra arrows I had, one, I wrote the verse from Proverbs 17:17 that I kept thinking about while preparing for this lesson, which says, "A friend loves at all times." I thought that's a great way to remind myself of how to honor God by being a good friend. So I'll put that in my quiver, which leaves me with 1 extra. And I want to challenge you, I want to encourage you to come up with something of your own to write on this last arrow. It can either be a Bible verse that reminds you of friendship, or it can just be a single word of how you can honor God by being a good friend. Maybe something like kind or giving, generous, another way that you can honor God by being a good friend. And then all the arrows will go in your quiver. And again, I know it's been hard lately without being at school and being around your friends that you don't really get the chance to honor God by being a great friend, but I encourage you to keep this around your house so that when we do get back to school, back to church, back to all of our normal activities. It will be there as a reminder for you of how to honor God by being a great and loving and loyal friend to the people that God has blessed you with in your life. So I hope you have fun with it. I hope you can be creative and have a great time, and we can't wait to see you again back here next weekend. Bye.